Good morning, everyone. Today we'll discuss about Python programming. Okay, so when we say Python, right, it's one of the high-level programming in the market. So when we say high-level programming, so basically we'll write human understandable syntax and semantics, which will be converted into. So the flow will be going like this. Say example, I write here. Here function def is a keyword to create a function. Say example, def print message, and you can have arguments and then colon. In Python, you need to do the indentation. So basically, you need to use the uh, actually this indentation is not coming. Basically, you need to use the indentation. So I may just print out hello world. Okay, so if I write code like this, okay, so I'll be saving this into say demo.py. So Python files are saved in the extension of .py. So this is basically whatever you write is a high level code, okay, which human can understand, right? So basically, the finally the any program you write, the instruction it has to be run by the machine, right? Basically the computer. Okay, say example, our processor. Machine or processor. Okay, so this code will not be understood by the machine. Okay, so the machine will understand the low level code. Okay, so we need to convert this high level code, source code into the machine understandable code. Okay, so they call it as intermediate language. Okay, intermediate language. So if you look at the Java also, when you write a you write a program in a Java program that will be saved in .java file. So when you compile, then the compiler will change the high level code into uh, intermediate intermediate level intermediate level code. Okay, so that's called class files. Okay, in Java it's called class files. So this class files will be able to run by the JVM, okay, Java Virtual Machine. In Python, you have Python which PVM. You have PVM here. Okay. So okay, let me put PVM here. The Python virtual machine will understand the basically the intermediate code. Okay, so this is how the Python will work. Okay, so Python is a high-level programming language, and it is also of object-oriented programming language. We'll understand what is object-oriented programming when we discuss about the object-oriented concepts in a Python. Okay, so just a quick introduction about Python. So, say example, if you want to install a Python, So basically, you need a software to install. You need a Python software to work on, right? So there are multiple flavor of Python is there. Okay, we'll focus on two different distribution. They call it as distribution or uh, flavor of Python. One is the classic Python. Classic Python or open source Python. Okay, another is the Anaconda distribution of Python. Okay, it's like open source Hadoop. We are working on it, and there is also Cloudera distribution of Hadoop, or Artenworks distribution of Hadoop, and you have different Hadoop flavor in different cloud platforms. Similarly, so end of the day, Python is a Python, the open source one. But the Consortium, there is a company called Consortium. They taken the open source Python, they made some additional features to that, and they are actually giving you the Anaconda distribution of Python. Okay, so either you can install classic Python and work on it, or you can actually install Anaconda Python and work on it. Please stop me if you have any question. Okay, so I will tell you where to download those two. So you say go and type Python download. You will get the www.python.org. Okay, this is the classic or open source Python. So you have the Python installer for Windows. So you have a installer for Linux and Mac. All the uh, all the operating systems. See, for all the operating system, we have different flavor of Python. Okay, means it's different Python installer is there. Okay, so you can actually either you can actually work on um, what to say in Windows for just learning purpose, or if you want to install, you can do it in Linux also. Okay, so this is example. If I try to download this, okay, so you will get a file called okay, you'll get a file. I'm actually I have only less bandwidth, so I'm not downloading this. So you will get a Python. In Python, you have different versions. Okay, the major versions are Python 2.7 or something. So it actually went to maintenance mode. Nobody is going to use Python 2. Even if you use Python 2.7, it will not be any support for that. Okay, so it's better to use a Python 3. Uh, 3. So Python 3 itself, we have minor versions like 3.9 is the latest version of Python. We can just try with that. Okay, so so this is the once you download this file, it's more of double click on that exe file. If you're installing on Windows, it's more of double click the file and installing it. It's a open source version of Python. So then if you want to, so once you install this open source Python, how we will get is once you double click that file and install Python. Okay, so actually in my machine, open source Python is not there. I'm using Anaconda Python. So if you're using open source Python, you will find one ID called editor called in idle. Okay, so how idle will look like. So in this icon, you will see it like this. This is a Python logo, and idle will be opening like. So you will actually it will open prompt like this. So you will get a prompt like this. You can actually interactively work on the Python. Okay, that's a classic Python. Okay, and I am using an Anaconda distribution of Python. Here in classic Python, you don't have uh, web-based notebooks. Okay, this is more of you'll have Windows this IDE, which is myself they call it as thin client or Windows application kind of editor where you can go and type your Python code and it will run it. Okay, this is the one flavor. So another is distribution of Python is the Anaconda Python. Anaconda Python. So if you see here, so when you say Anaconda Python, you will see the link. The first, if you Google Anaconda Python, you'll get a anaconda.com website. You'll see individual edition. Okay. So if you scroll down, you will have a download link here. Click here. So in the bottom of the page, you will see Anaconda installers. Similarly, you have installer for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So whichever is convenient, you can actually use it. So I am using actually for my in VM in virtual machine. I am using a Linux version of Python. If you open my virtual machine, okay. So I'm using Anaconda distribution of Python. So in Linux, also I installed it, which is my in my VM for our Spark to work with Spark and in Windows also I install it. So if we go to type Anaconda, maybe I will show you. So if you download, if you want to install it in Windows, just take this different operating system version. If you have 62-bit operating system, then use 64-bit graphical installer. This also it will be .exe. So because Windows installer is always .exe, right? So you just download this file. It will be around 457 MB. Again, this also very easy to install it. Just to click next and next to complete that. So once you install that, you will see a folder something like this. Anaconda 3 64-bit, and you will see uh, different option tools are available, right? So we'll go one by one. We'll be using either Jupyter Notebook. People who know already Python, they know about Jupyter Notebook, which is a web-based editor for your Python, writing your Python code. Okay, and Spider is the one which is basically a like in classic Python we have idle, right? It's a Windows-based application to write your code interactively. Similarly, Spider also you will be able to, if you click on Spider, it will open a IDE where you can just interactively work with the Python code. This is uh, the Spider editor. Okay, I just declare a variable name equal to Shivan. I just use a function called print, and I'm just so you can actually write a code here. You can just execute this. This is it's got evaluated, it's executed, and it's showing in the console output in the console here. Okay, so you can save this file. Right now it is temp.py. You can change the name, and you can store it anywhere. So this is one way of writing. Okay, here also you can actually directly here also you can type print my first Python code. It evaluate. It's more of uh, interactively working editor. Okay, this is one way of writing your Python code and executing it. And then so this is in Windows. In Linux, so if you want to install it in Linux, which is in VM, so you need to download this .sh file. You see here in the bottom, Anaconda 3 uh, hyphen 2020.11 hyphen Linux hyphen x86 underscore 64 sh file. This take this file and you can use the bash command to run this file, and it will ask you few steps. You have to follow that. Okay, so it's very easy to install that. I will give you, if you want, I will give you a video which help you to install that Anaconda distribution of Python on Linux. Windows it's very simple. Linux only you need to just how to choose some path and similar. So, so you can actually, I would okay, you can go with anyone, Classic Python or Anaconda Python. Why I am going to use Anaconda Python? Because of the Jupyter Notebook. It's very so. One thing is Spider we saw. It's a kind of simple application where Windows-based application editor where you can write your code. Okay. I generally don't use this. Some people like Spider. Another is one which is even yesterday or day before yesterday I showed you. So the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, if I click this, it is going to launch me a web-based application. Okay, where I can go and create a notebook. Here, notebook you can think of as a one program. So I'll just see this is the main page, and here you if you scroll down. So basically, it is listing the directories which is in the documents page. If you go to see whatever you have it here, not this or user folder. I think this one. Okay, so it's basically it's launched from my user directory. So whatever there in my users and my um, user's name is Pari. So inside this directory, whatever files are there, it is just showing it here. That's it. Even earlier created notebook files also showing here. The Jupyter Notebook file extension is .ipynb is the extension of the notebook file. Like when you go to Spider and create a Python file, it will be .py. When you create a notebook in Jupyter Notebook, you will get a file extension as .pynb. Let me do one thing. I'll just go and create Python. So you see if I first, it will be like uh, untitled. Okay, when you create a new and open a new notebook, it will be untitled. You can actually click here. You can give whatever name you want. Okay, so demo Python demo one. Okay, name equal to R1. Okay, so this is the thing about cell. Okay, you this is one your notebook. So each this kind of box where you write a code is called cell. You can run this cell by just your control is here, and you can click on run. It will run. So you can actually use that print of name. It is printing here. So it is for a Python analyst and people who work on. Please, you can use the same link and you can rejoin if this disconnects. So people who work on data analyst and data scientist, and even for us to analyze your data, so this will be very handy. The Jupyter Notebook. That's why I prefer Jupyter Notebook just for when you learn something. But there is other IDEs, right? So we have a IDE called PyCharm. Okay, so that is to develop your application. For interactively to do some analysis, Jupyter Notebook will be useful. But if you want to develop the the properly well-defined structure of your project, then you need to use PyCharm like IDE. Till now, you have any question?
Pari, I have one question. How do
Yeah.
we link the Python to Jupyter?
What do you want to link?
No, I mean to say, like, if we install the Python from Anaconda Python and
You
if we
don't
install
need.
Jupyter.
No, it will come by default. That's what Anaconda distribution
Oh,
of
okay.
Python. Anaconda distribution of Python will come by default. All this, whatever I'm showing it here, basically it will come this one. Anaconda Navigator will come, and Anaconda PowerShell prompt will come. Why you got duplicated means I create a virtual environment called data making. That's why it is for both for my environment variable. Sorry, virtual environment also it is showing the different icons. Generally, it will be first time when
Got
you
it.
install, you will see only once. Okay,
Okay.
and you will see Spider, Jupyter, Anaconda prompt, Anaconda PowerShell prompt, and Anaconda Navigator. These are the 1, 2, 3,
Oh,
4, 5 icons you will see under Anaconda 3.
okay. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the only drawback is it will consume more space. Basically, for when you install, it will consume around 5 GB of your hard disk, 5 to 6 GB of hard disk. And so I don't restrict people to install classic Python and work on it. So once you install classic Python, you need to go and install Jupyter Notebook separately, because Jupyter Notebook, it's basically another open source tool, right? You can actually download you can download and install separately. It's all. If suppose if you are installing classic Python, if you are installing Anaconda, anyway Jupyter Notebook will come by default. Suppose I don't want to use Anaconda Python, I want to use classic Python. This one. Say example, I am fine with working with the classic Python. If you feel that, then you can install Python. Then once you install a Python, classic Python, then you need to go to the Jupyter website, Jupyter Notebook website, and you can actually there is a pip package itself there. You can use a pip install notebook. Okay, so that will install your Jupyter Notebook. And latest, they also introduced Jupyter Lab. It's another improvement to your Jupyter notebook. Okay, so it's up to you which one you work. Okay, so either you install classic Python, then followed by Jupyter Notebook, or if you are fine, I am fine with working with the uh, like ID, like PyCharm also. I am fine with it. I don't know any issue. If you install Anaconda Python, everything will come by default. I will leave it to you which one you want to use. Okay, so now what I will do is so I created a one notebook. Uh, where I installed, where I have sample programs. Okay, it's all the some of the important concepts I made with one notebook. Okay, so which has, so in notebook, the one good thing is you can have a documentation here. Okay, so yeah, I told you, right? So each the box where you write a code is called cell, right? This cell type can be a code, so that it when you see here, when I choose this, here it is saying code, there's a drop down. Okay, that means I am going to write a Python code. Say example, if I make it as a markup, okay, then I can write what is that, HTML code. Okay, so if you execute this, so that the cell became a HTML. It got executed HTML tags, and it is basically it is HTML code is rendered here. It's good for documentation. Okay, and if you you can use that, this as a heading also. I don't know what is raw NB convert, but heading you can just use this hash symbol. Python basics. If you execute this, so these are the three type of cells it is available. Okay, so I made close this. Okay, so I am going to walk through you this. Means we are going to see the Python concepts using this notebook file. Okay, I will share you this notebook for practice. So we just discussed Python is a general purpose interpreted high-level programming language. It also support object-oriented programming. Python has many packages, libraries used for developing a machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence application. So Python became famous because it is being used by the many areas like even web application you can build it, even you can actually build a normal Windows based application, right? And it's become very popular when people used to for machine learning and artificial intelligence. So that's where it became very popular. Now it has been uh, a different framework, right? Say example Spark and Flink and in Amazon Lambda. So there are different framework or services people develop. They are giving support for Python. So Python package. So if you install the respective Python package, you can work with the respective service or framework. That's how it became very popular. Just an introduction about what is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. AI is nothing but actually program with the ability to learn and reason like human being. So robotics the like works with AI. What is machine learning is basically algorithms with the ability to learn and without being explicitly programmed. So if you supply data to the algorithms, you take algorithm, you supply data, and it will learn it will understand the pattern about your data, and it will build a something called model. Uh, that model you can, if you supply